I just was looking at this, man. See, I told you. As soon as I come offline, I get some information where I got to come back online. But we got some new information. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. They asking for Justin Trudeau to resign by tomorrow, Monday's deadline. He faces a deadline to resign tomorrow. Wow, bro. You want to hear it? Let's get it.
Is not.
Why we may not be as divided as we think in the Sunday interview.
From CBC News, this is The National.
Watch this, watch
with
this.
Ian Henemansing.
A group of 24 Liberal MPs fed up with Justin Trudeau's leadership have put the Prime Minister on the clock, and it's about to run out. They want him to resign tomorrow.
Wow. Did you guys hear that? It's over for him. Play it one more time.
Is The National.
It's over.
With Ian Henemansing.
A group of
It's
24
over.
Liberal
Finally.
MPs fed up with Justin Trudeau's leadership have put the Prime Minister on the clock, and it's about to run out. They want him to resign tomorrow. Trudeau has signaled again this weekend he's not going anywhere. In fact, he says he's poised to defy polls, predictions, and doubts about his leadership. And
He's going to defy polls and predictions about his leadership. How? You only have one side. You're a Democrat. You're a liberal Democrat. I won't vote for you.
win the next election. JP Tasker shows
How's
us
he
how
gonna
that
win the
confidence
next
is being
election?
tested tomorrow and why the Liberal divisions
This
are
is
set to
crazy.
last even longer.
Parliament Hill on the eve of a deadline set by
So let me stop it there. So you know how I do those videos with the CPAC in the title? This is where they're having the discussions at Parliament, the House of Commons Parliament right here. This is in Ottawa.
24
Like 6
disaffected
hours away from
Liberals
me.
who want Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to resign or face unspecified consequences.
If he doesn't resign, he's going to face unspecified consequences. Wow. Listen to this again.
Why the Liberal divisions are set to last even longer.
Parliament Hill on the eve of a deadline set by 24 disaffected Liberals who want Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to resign or face unspecified consequences.
We're proud Liberals, but we're also saying, hey, reflect, step back, think about it. You need to step down.
Can't do
Backbench
it.
MP Wayne Long is leading the charge against Trudeau. He said
Salute to him. I think he's PEI. I think he's Prince Edward Island in Canada.
the PM has to go now to save the party from a potentially ugly election result.
If we don't step in and make a solid change here, we can allow somebody like Pierre Poilievre to govern for the next 1, 2, 3 terms. That would be disastrous for our country.
No, I don't think so. I disagree. I think it'd be good. I think Pierre Poilievre, he has policies. I would like to hear more of his policies and his ideas. Some people are already putting up PC, the Tories, what is it, like street signs and stuff like that. They're already putting that up in the street, like on their front lawn, like they're voting conservative. Like they're really doing this. Like Canadians are really doing this just to give Justin Trudeau and the Liberals the ultimate FU. But I do think Pierre Poilievre would have better policies. I would like to hear more about his plans, but I would never vote for a Liberal or Democrat.
Election result.
If we
Just that
don't
simple.
step in and make a solid change here, we can allow somebody like Pierre Poilievre to govern for the next 1, 2, 3 terms. That would be disastrous for
I disagree, respectfully, sir. I think it'd be better than what you guys got now. If Justin Trudeau, like Pierre Poilievre is definitely an upgrade from a Justin Trudeau, a guy that literally put on blackface and was reelected after he put on blackface. Because Canadians didn't know how nasty he really was. But anyway.
our country.
United behind you.
Liberal Party is strong and united.
Within
How is it united when I literally have a live stream? You want to read it again? What does my title say? Justin Trudeau faces Monday deadline, but yet you get out there and you say your guys are united. Okay, alternative reality.
Somebody like Pierre Poilievre to govern for the next 1, 2, 3 terms. That would be disastrous for our country.
United behind you.
Liberal Party is strong and united.
How can you say that so smugly? That they're strong and united when they literally gave you a deadline tomorrow. Tomorrow night, buddy. Tomorrow night, buddy. Are you gonna? It's gonna be a hard prediction to make, man. Do I think Justin Trudeau? Do I think Justin Trudeau will resign by tomorrow? Because remember, he had all weekend to think of it. You know about the grumblings and on and on and on it goes, right? So it's a possibility, guys. I mean, he's looking at what Trump is doing. He watched Madison Square Garden today. You know he did. I think it's a possibility. Probability? It's hard to say, man. Hard to say. I'll know a little bit more by the time the afternoon rolls around when they have their question period. I won't be able to stream it until I get back, but I'll know a little bit more, right? But he might come out tomorrow morning, Monday morning, say, I led Canada for 9 years. I did some reflecting over the weekend. I think I am going to step down. I never know. Like I said, it's a possibility. But we'll see what happens, right?
We can allow somebody like Pierre Poilievre to govern for the next one
weekend.
I am determined to lead this.
Oh, he was on a podcast on the weekend? What podcast was this one? I don't know if I'll be able to find it.
Hours of hearing from anxious Liberal MPs last week, Trudeau was adamant he isn't going anywhere, a point he repeated this weekend.
I am determined.
So he was on a podcast somewhere. And by the way, we know what the Liberals do. They just go to different places, bring a bunch of podcast equipment, set it up, set the camera up, sit down, and then interview them as if these guys are really have real high credibility. They don't have high credibility. They don't. It's like myself, right? I have podcast equipment. I could go anywhere with my podcast equipment and set it up like I'm traveling. That's easy to do. That's nothing. But anyway, I digress.
To lead
a
this
coffee
party
shop,
into the
some
next
office
election.
somewhere.
I am actually really excited about this fight.
Trudeau says he defied the poll.
Hold on.
To lead this party into the next election. I am actually really excited about this fight.
Trudeau says he defied the polls in 2015 and won that election, and he can do it again.
To prejudge the
I don't think you can do it again, buddy.
outcome of an election already.
Oh, I know what it's called. It's called Inside the Village. To predetermine the election. Hold on, let's put that up there. This is crazy, man. He's a narcissist. Oh, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's not the name of the podcast. Hold on, just let me take a look and see if I can find it. But I do think he's on his way out. It's over for him. I'm not gonna vote for him. Pierre was saying some stuff, but I don't know where the podcast would be. It's probably not a very high popular one because I can't find it. So let's continue.
Is something that I don't think people would be too wise in doing.
But Trudeau's poll numbers are much lower now than they were 9 years ago.
Of course.
CBC's poll tracker has the Liberals down some 19 percentage points compared to the Conservatives.
Liberal Democrat is down 19 points. Conservative, Tories, 42%, respectfully. And I mean, the 23% is basically women voting for Justin Trudeau.
You've got a government's approval rating at the lowest it's ever been, and the Prime Minister himself, his negatives have never been as high.
This pollster says it's Trudeau who's dragging down Liberal Party fortunes.
About 60% of Canadians have a negative view, and only 23% have a positive view.
Still, Trudeau's allies are asking wayward MPs to fall in line.
How much has a negative?
Ever been, and the Prime Minister himself, his negatives have never been as high.
This pollster says it's Trudeau who's dragging down Liberal Party fortunes.
About 60% of Canadians have a negative view, and only 23% have a positive view.
60%.
Still, Trudeau's allies are asking wayward MPs to fall in line and focus on their main opponent.
At some point, to keep knifing like this, put up or shut up.
I do think it's a wild distraction to be talking about this as opposed to the toxic narrative coming out of Pierre Poilievre's mouth. At the end of the day, we need to rally together and focus on the real threat.
Disgruntled MPs haven't decided on a plan for Trudeau if he stays past Monday's deadline. Some say they want to hear from the Prime Minister before taking their next step. At least one has floated voting non-confidence in the government. And Wayne Long, he wants a secret ballot in caucus.
So a possibility, JP, though, is this could all fade out.
It could, but even if it does, these MPs have still delivered a blow to Trudeau's brand. Pierre Poilievre has pounced, saying, how could Trudeau ask voters for a fourth term when so many of his own MPs want him gone? Ian?
Exactly.
JP Tasker in Ottawa.
So, again, he's on his way out. It's over for JT. And I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. This is another one here.
It seems every week we're reporting on increasingly wild shenanigans between the two leading parties. But last week it was within one party, and it took the cake. The Prime Minister was confronted behind closed doors during a very divisive party caucus meeting where we're told 50 MPs spoke up, some supporting Justin Trudeau.
It's about having frank and honest conversations.
And some giving him a deadline of tomorrow to make a decision, stay or go.
You know, he walks out, he's got his bodyguard because he can't go out in certain places. They'll pounce on him if he goes in certain places. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying he can only go certain places.
Party caucus meeting where we're told 50 MPs spoke up, some supporting Justin Trudeau.
It's about having frank and honest conversations.
And some giving him a deadline of tomorrow to make a decision, stay or go.
Well, I spoke truth to power. I think I've articulated what I feel needs to be done. It's never easy.
Meanwhile, in public, sounds and claims.
The Liberal Party is strong and united.
No, it's not. You guys are losing. You guys are losing. You guys have been losing the whole time. People don't like you, man. You put on blackface. You disrespected Black Canadians like myself, like my mother's mother's mother, like my father's father's father. All you want is ignorant Canadians to keep voting Liberal and keep voting not in their interests for negative consequences. That's not me.
And claims.
The Liberal Party is strong and united.
Of a united front. Joining us now with the optics and mechanisms of this leadership review.
Right? Liberal women, remember, the Liberals are for pro-choice. Deleting and murdering babies. Why? I don't know, but
Liberals didn't.
Like the hookup
and I
culture,
think one
right?
of the reasons is that when you say, okay, we'd like to put the Reform Act up there as an option, which does give the
okay, we don't want to hear about the Liberal women talking about nothing again. But let's see. We got to get to Pierre Poilievre is just outshining Justin Trudeau in every which way, and I'm gonna be streaming it all. But Pierre Poilievre has a message for you. I think he was talking somewhere. Let me see if I can pull his video up. He talks about Canada's broken immigration system. You know, he does a good job, man. This was 3 months ago. I was trying to look for something newer. But it's over for him. He's done. It's over, man. I would never vote for them. This is one day ago.
The Prime Minister created a $4 billion so-called housing accelerator that gave hundreds of millions of dollars to big city politicians across the country. Toronto got the money, and construction went down 20%.
We covered that. I covered all that. That's a good clip that he got him.
The Prime Minister.
I think Pierre Poilievre is going to be the man to deliver on the plan. I do.
Canada made me a promise. It makes all of us a promise, whether we're born here or arrive as immigrants. If you work hard, you get a good life. That anyone from anywhere can do anything. That hard work gets a powerful paycheck that buys affordable food and homes in safe neighborhoods.
I would think so.
And that promise, like everything else, is broken after 9 years of Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. Most of all, he broke our immigration system. Today's immigration flip-flop is a massive admission of failure by Justin Trudeau, an admission that he's not worth the cost or the corruption. With his own MPs working to throw him out, and less than a year from the carbon tax election, Trudeau has suddenly admitted that radical, uncontrolled immigration and policies related to it are partly to blame for joblessness, housing and healthcare crises. In fact, let's remember, after 9 years of Trudeau, we have 1 in 10 Torontonians lined up at food banks. We have 1,400 homeless encampments across the province of Ontario. 2 million Canadians have to go to a food bank every month. Scurvy is making a comeback. We have the worst economy in the G7. Everything is broken. And his immigration minister admits that that immigration is out of control after 9 years of Liberal policies. They increased population growth by 200% over the last several years alone. Now, Trudeau called anyone who disagreed with these radical policies racist. Now he's the one.
It's the same thing Kamala does. That's what Democrats do. They label you racist when you disagree with their policies. It's very simple. Kamala Harris does the same shit. Biden does the same thing.
Broken.
Obama does the same thing.
And his immigration minister admits that that immigration is out of control after 9 years of Liberal policies. They increased population growth by 200% over the last several years alone. Now, Trudeau called anyone who disagreed with these radical policies racist. Now he's the one cutting immigration to pull back on the disastrous mistakes that he made.
The same
The
thing.
worst, he destroyed the best immigration system in the world. A system that had a common sense consensus of conservatives and liberals for 150 years. Immigration was not even controversial before Trudeau came along.
So basically, the Biden-Harris administration destroyed immigration in America, and Justin Trudeau destroyed immigration in Canada. You tell me that there's no correlation there? There's something seriously strange about that, right? Think about what I said. We know that the southern border is open in America, okay? The southern border. And we know the influx of illegal immigrants into America, right? These are rapists, murderers, and all these kind of all just different things, okay? We know that. That's a fact. We know that. I covered it, okay? But up at the northern border, Justin Trudeau literally increased immigration levels to 200%. So the question now becomes, did Biden, Harris, Trudeau, were they colluding on immigration? I got to ask that question. I mean, this is a serious question. Think about it. I mean, can we do some research on this shit? Because it's kind of crazy that what's going on in America is literally going on up here at the northern border where I'm at. It's pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy. I just came to my mind. So anyway, you could say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. Maybe they're trying to replace birthright Canadians with immigrants that don't know our laws, that don't follow our system, they don't believe in the rule of law. I don't like to say these kind of things, but it just, I mean, shit, could you imagine? I mean, you know what their argument is? The argument is, guys, I'm going to be honest. Of course I'm going to be honest. Their argument is that birthright citizens, Canadians, Americans, they're not having children. They're not having enough children for replacement levels. We are under replacement levels. So their excuse and argument is we're going to have to increase immigration levels to keep the population growth up. That's what they're saying. What I'm saying is women should get on the same page as with men. Men should get on the same page with women, and we should work together to build nuclear families. I don't think the Democrat Party is going to give you that. You know, I wish I could find a map on the immigration levels. So let me see. Because I got another couple minutes here. Immigration, United States. Let me see if I can get a map. Okay, here's a map here. 2020. Number of immigrants in there, share total use partner. Immigrants as a percentage of the United States. Number of immigrants. Okay, here's a map here. I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to do two maps, right? So we're going to go to United States immigration levels, and then we'll go Canada immigration levels, right? So the orange is immigrants as a percentage of the United States population. So it's more immigrants as a percentage of the population. Number of immigrants, okay? So you can go from 1860 and then we get up to 2020. You can see the spike right here of immigration levels in America. Okay? Now let's go with Canada. Now, if it's the same long line like that, right? The question becomes why? Let's see if we can find that. Immigration. I know there is someone, what's it called? I mean, look, it's right here. Like, I want to put the dates, though, if we can get a date here. 150th anniversary. Let's see. So it says chart 2, number of proportion of foreign-born population, 1871 to 2021. Okay. So the question is, I think that's their excuse. I think eventually in the next couple days, I think that's going to be their excuse, that birthright citizens are not having children, and so that's what bring immigration levels up. So this is it here. So it's the same spike. So in America, there's a spike of immigration levels. In Canada, there's a spike of immigration levels by the Democrat liberal leaders of these countries. And I think their excuse is, well, you know what? Birthright Canadians, birthright Canadian. But here's the thing, right? Like I can't give them a life jacket and say, well, that's their excuse. But it's like, if you're saying that, then why would you promote abortion on birthright Canadians unless you didn't want them to procreate and have children, right? Like, why would you, like, if their excuse is, well, America has high immigration, we wanted high immigration levels because birthright citizens are not having children for replacement levels. That's their argument. So then it's like, why would you promote abortion? We know the Democrat Party promotes abortion. We know the liberals in Canada, they promote abortion. Okay? So we know that. So why would you promote that unless you're trying to replace birthright citizens? Right? Like, that would only make sense. Like, okay, we're going to have high immigration, and then we're going to tell the citizens in this country that are born here, go have abortions. So they don't procreate. They don't procreate. Just go out and have an abortion. I mean, shit, that's what's true. Because the inversion of that would be like, okay, we're increasing immigration levels. Like, I'm doing Occam's razor. You know what I'm saying? The least assumptions leading to more possibilities, or the least possibilities and the least assumptions is usually likely the simplest solution, something like that. But the point what I'm trying to make is that, okay, why when they say, you know what, you birthright citizens, why don't you guys go out there and have families? I think it would be like, why can't Justin Trudeau or Kamala or Biden, why can't they go and say, yeah, I think it's good that, you know, a woman, if she wants to have children and be a mother and be a wife, I think that's good. Why don't they ever say that? I mean, Biden's married. Kamala's married. Justin Trudeau was married, but his wife filed for divorce. So, like, again, why couldn't they just change the message, right? So I have to put that into it, right? That's just my whole thing. They didn't say that. They said, no, go, you know. But anyway, it's crazy. I just want to put up this definition here right quick. I just wanted to give you what this means, right? So this is what I mean when I say birthright. The Canadian Citizens Act of 1946 states that anyone born in Canada has the right to automatic citizenship. The parents of the new Canadian-born child do not affect their citizenship status, whether they're Canadian citizens or not. Being a Canadian citizen means that the child has permanent residency. So if you're going to increase immigration levels to people that do not follow our laws, because you want them to come over here to maintain population, but yet they're not assimilating into Canadian society or American society. Like, I don't understand that. They stay in enclaves. They literally stay in like immigration prior to social media, prior to like just prior, man. You know, like people coming from Jamaica, people coming from Guyana, they come over, like, you know, like Cuba, you know, wherever, like they come over. Oh, I'm coming over for a land of opportunity, and I want to be an American. I want to be a Canadian. Now what they're doing, they don't want to be Canadian or American. They're chanting death to Canada, death to America. They're literally doing this. I played the video. And then when you ask them this, they say, yeah, that's what I want. So they say, well, why don't you just go back to your country? Well, let me see if I can find that. So I don't know, man. It's crazy. All of this shit will drive you crazy. Look, I'll show you. Hold on. There should be a video here somewhere. Look at this. This was in Calgary. Death to Israel, death to Canada, death to the United States. So again, you have people that come over here that don't follow our laws. They don't give a shit about Canadians. Look, they're burning the American flag. They're burning the Canadian flag in Vancouver, right? An unidentified masked woman led a crowd of hundreds at the Vancouver Art Gallery October 14th and chanted to death to Canada and burning Canadian flags. This is the shit we're dealing with and is allowed here. You are okay, yeah, but anyway, this is what I mean. So again, if the argument from the Democrats and liberals is, well, you guys are not having children of your own, so we need to increase the immigration levels to have the immigrants pretty much replace you, but have the immigrants maintain the population. If that's their argument, then it's like, are you bringing over the best and the brightest in our country? Are you really doing this? Because I never burnt a Canadian flag, and I've been here my whole life. I've been here 36 years. I've never burnt a Canadian flag. But they've been here for a little bit, and they're burning the Canadian flag. So I don't think they're bringing over the best and the brightest. I don't. I'm not afraid to say that because it's the truth, and the truth can never be considered disrespectful. All right, this woman says, if you're saying that, F you. Look.
Good evening, everyone. I'm extremely pissed off fucking Canadian right about now. I'm driving home from work in Edmonton, Alberta, and I come up to the Palestinian protest little convoy that's going on. Well, I'm driving away, and as I'm driving away, I've got my window down, and all you hear is, death to Canada, death to Canada, death to Canada. I'm sorry. Go back to your fucking country and fight there and get the fuck out of ours if you hate our country so fucking much. Sorry, not sorry. I'm a fucking...
You know, this is why I always say in my broadcast, sorry, but I'm not sorry. It's the same thing. I got to learn not to say that. But that's what I'm saying. There is, you know, when Trump talks about the enemy from within, those are the people that hate this country. They hate that you're a birthright American, a birthright Canadian. They hate that shit. They had to come over here and literally not assimilate and think that that's the reflection of society in Canada. That's really stupid. They're really moronic. But anyway, I digress. I was trying to look for that video, can't find it. But that's what be the conspiracy theories, the replacement levels. I mean, let me see if I can find something here. Hold on, it's called replacement migration. They say it's a conspiracy theory, right? Okay, so instead of saying great replacement, we should use the phrase replacement migration. That's what that's what they call it. They call it a replacement migration. You might say, well, what is replacement migration? Okay, so there's that there. So, okay, let's read that there. Okay, replacement migration. A global model plan from the United Nations as the United States announces that foreign-born migrants will be the only source of workforce growth. The decline in birth rates in the West will be balanced out from developing countries in the model. The United Nations has a population division within its Department of Economic and Social Affairs, and it also turns out that they have a very large document called replacement migration. Replacement migration refers to the replacement migration refers to the international migration that would be needed to offset declines in the size of a country's population of working age citizens, as well as to offset the overall aging of a population, to keep populations at a constant of 2020 levels. By 2050, the number of migrants needed is calculated by the United Nations computer to be 674 million, or 13 million per year for the EU alone, and a total of 1.4 billion for Europe. In the UK, to keep the population at its 1995 levels, it would require 59.8 million migrants between 1995 and 2050, more than 1 million migrants a year. The overall UK population would reach 136 million in 2050, of which 80 million, 59%, would be posted 1995 migrants or their descendants. That would be double our population. This modeling document and others is probably what leaders are bashing their migration. I don't know. This is basing. This modeling document and others is probably what leaders are basing their migration policy on. Only they haven't told you that they daren't. I don't know. That's what it says. The United Nations is telling you these migrants are climate migrants, and that digital ID and higher tax will solve all the issues. When in reality, the undervaluing of women and treating them as tax cash cows rather than precious mothers has crashed birth rates. What this modeling exercise also falls to explore the enormous cultural shift, including religious ideology, that will be forced onto existing citizens, nor does it factor in unrest or civil war from their meddling actions. Their migration for this is simply more control through digital ID and CBDC, central bank digital currency. I say, ignore, okay, yeah, make no mistake, just with COVID. So this is what they say. There you go. There's your article for today anyway. Foreign-born immigrants will be the only source of United States labor force growth after 2052. NFAP finds immigrants in America's labor force. Over the last 5 years, only 479,000 United States-born workers were added to the United States labor force compared to 3.6 million foreign-born workers, and it goes on and on and on. So, hey, man, sometimes you got to pick your poison. And I think they bit off something that they can't chew. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Pierre Poilievre might win this.